and I'm gonna make you co-host, and we should start letting these people in. All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Nakia. Hello, Manaz. Welcome to Career Lab Wednesday. Welcome, everybody. So I am your host, George Miller, and I'm a coach here in Chicago, although I coach people all over. And what I'm talking about today is getting off to the start that you want to in your new year. So I'll share more about that. Welcome. Good to have you on camera. So the way that we run this is the main thing is for you to get value. So any questions that you have, feel free to ask them. They don't have to be about the topic. If you've got any questions career related, there's no question too small, no question too big. If you're working on your resume, interviewing, if you're working on managing, ask away. And I'll always find a way to tie it back to something to do with social and emotional intelligence because that's my expertise. So that's the format of it. I'll remind us of this. This is streaming live. If there's questions that you want to ask, then and want to stay anonymous, go ahead and type them into the chat and just let me know. So if you're viewing in through LinkedIn or through YouTube, you can type your questions into the comment section there. If you're not able to join in directly, of course, again, I prefer if you jump in on Zoom. If you can't, totally get it. You can type your questions into the comment section and Jane will get those over to me. I'll do my best to answer. So as we're getting started here, I'm seeing Manaz. I see you on screen. I see you with sticky notes in the background. It looks like you are busy, maybe taking a break at work. I I would love for you to jump in and tell me what you're wanting from today, why you're joining in.
Hi, George. Thank you for reminding me about these sessions that you have. I really wanted to join you once, but I couldn't get the chance before, but I'm happy to be here now. Yeah, I'm a product designer, and these are all my ideas and thoughts that I have. So I put them on the wall to don't forget them and make some connections between them and like be more creative. So these are so helpful for me.
Oh, right on.
I'm here to learn from you. Anything that you have.
Okay, great. Well, do you have any questions or if not, if you're kind of joining in, I'll talk for a little bit, but as you have a question, feel free to come off mute or type into the chat.
Sure. Thanks.
You bet. So, one of the things that we talked a little bit about last year or last week is how New Year's resolutions don't work. So the research on this is like about 2 to 3 weeks into the new year, the resolutions that people have made, they stop doing. And there's a lot of science and research behind why this is. I can share more about that, but I think what's more useful is to talk about what does work. And it's just more complicated than setting specific goals and then saying, I'm going to do these things. Because life happens, anything from losing a job to somebody getting sick to all kinds of, I mean, freaking wars breaking out in other countries and the ways that that influences things. So there's always uncertainty. And so if I'm going into my new year and there's something important to me, some kind of change that I want to make, it's it's really, really valuable to know just how hard that is. Like to be honest with myself about how incredibly difficult it is to make changes. And so the research on this is if we're really going to make a sustainable change, we need to tap our yearnings. I'll talk more about that in a little bit. We need to engage with other people in different ways than how we normally engage with them. And things like having some kind of a support group, some kind of a group that's like people kind of doing what we're doing. These are so important to actually maintain that. So like if you're doing, weight loss stuff, like hiring a weight loss coach, joining some kind of a fitness program, and talking with your friends about it, and following podcasts that talk about, changes in diet and things. Like that is a pretty good start. That will help ensure that you're going to get some kind of a result. And so in looking at our goals as we're going into the new year, it can be really helpful to focus, to there's, if I'm honest about it, there's like a million things I want to do differently. And am I actually going to do all of those things differently? No, there's no way. And so if I can look at the things that matter most to me, and if I can set up a plan that will actually influence how my behaviors are, how I respond to things, then I kind of have a chance at actually doing it. So, well, the thing that I want to zero in on around goal setting and planning, and there's a few other people who I've worked with in the past, I've seen posting about this on LinkedIn, and so I think it's a really important thing, is yearnings, our universal yearnings. So I'm totally bringing this into an emotional intelligence land. This is like the heart of it. So yearnings are things that every single human being has. We all have a yearning to be seen, a yearning to matter, a yearning to exist, a yearning to belong, like this kind of thing. And if I look at my goals of making more money or getting a six-pack abs or running a marathon, those are all wonderful and fine. But if I break it down, underneath me wanting to get that thing is really a hunger to be seen, to matter, to exist, to belong. There's other yearnings too. I'm not going to list them all. To make a difference. So now, if I can look at these goals, so I have, last year I had a goal of staying in ice water for a very long time. I didn't set it like an exact thing. Wim Hof does it for like 67 minutes. I was like, yeah, he's been doing this for like 30 years. So I'm going to do just like a very long time, well over 10 minutes. And what I did was I identified, okay, there's a yearning to matter. When my body is in ice water, like I'm very much mattering. It's not necessarily comfortable, but like I know I freaking exist. Then I identified other people doing the same kind of activity going into ice water. And so now I'm talking with them about it. And I'm getting that yearning to make a difference. So I'm inviting people in who haven't done this before. And I'm meeting a yearning to connect with people. I'm meeting a yearning to, let's see, I'm meeting a yearning to belong. And that's a way that I've used Instagram and things. So I spend a few minutes on there. So social media, everybody talks about like how bad it can be. Totally can be a trap. But there's ways that it's a technology like anything. Somebody reading, there used to be all kinds of problems with reading. There probably still is. I think kids shouldn't learn to read or shouldn't be forced to learn to read until they're 8. Anyway, but so there's Instagram and social media and that stuff. It's just a technology. We're just getting used to it. And so there's ways that I use it to meet my yearnings. And this key thing of paying attention to, am I meeting my universal yearnings of mattering, existing, etc. Is that built into my plan to achieve my goals? That's the thing that like that's the secret sauce. And it's something so small and yet profound. And if you ask anybody, you know, in life, like, what are you most proud of? They're gonna say things like that will tie back to yearnings. Like, I'm so proud of how many people I impacted. I'm so proud of the relationships I developed. I'm so proud that I really had a sense that I could do something. That's that yearning to matter. You know, that I have agency in the world. And so when we look at our goals, what we want to achieve, it's like for a lot of us, this part of our brain is just like not yet activated. I think like we're in the stage of human evolution where like we're not quite tapped into paying attention to ourselves this way about how we're really nourishing ourselves in our interactions. And so this is a skill to look at our plans, look at who we're working with, if we're currently working or if we're in a job search, and breaking that down into, how am I meeting my yearnings in these interactions? So even just like with going into an interview, and in an interview, one of the biggest things is like, you know, it's often nerve-wracking. You know, I need and want a job. So I'm trying to impress. And that can like start to go away from the real point of that interaction, which is seeing if I'm a good fit for that role, for that company. And so if I'm kind of out of sync with the person and I'm like attempting to meet yearnings, but I'm unconscious about it. And so I'm just kind of like saying, like, here, I have all this experience, da, 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 this is what I know how to do. Meanwhile, the person interviewing me has already checked out and is just like, has for whatever reason decided one way or the other which pile I'm going into. It kind of doesn't matter what I'm saying. But if I'm able to use the yearning to connect in the moment with that person and put aside the, am I getting this job or not? Am I that yearning for security? And oh yeah, that's a big yearning I didn't name, is yearning for security. And then I can start to assess myself and I can control. I have a sense of like actual control in the interview of, oh, I'm making a difference in this interview. I'm actually connecting with this person. This may not be a fit for me. Hell, I may not even want this job. I'm here investigating. I'm here to see what's really going on in this company, what they really need, and if this is really something I want to do. And I'm going to come out of this interview feeling good about how I engaged. I'm going to come out of this like knowing that I did a good job. I did the best job I could do. That's something I can control. And I can meet lots of little yearnings in that interaction with somebody. And so that research then shows that if I engage in that kind of way, then I'm like way more likely to get the job. Then I'm like they will be able to see me as a person. And even if it's not the best fit, now I've registered to them in a meaningful way. Like, and they might be like, I had one client who interviewed really well in this way of interviewing the interviewer. And at the end of it, they both realized, you know what? Like, we put this job position out there, but as we've been talking, we actually think we need something like this. So like we would hire you, but now that we've talked, we realize we need something else. But geez, we wish we could hire you. Actually, there's somebody else. There's this other company. I think you would probably do really well there. That's the goal to get to with people, is that you're making an authentic connection with them. And this is a way to do it, is to be meeting your yearnings moment to moment with other people. And this is like, you know, we're largely unconscious of this territory. So it's just really helpful to start looking at these deeper yearnings, universal yearnings, things that we all have, and seeing where I'm meeting that and where I'm not, and just noticing. So that is the the overarching concept for how to really meet your goals is to identify ways that you're meeting your yearnings along the journey there, because all this unknown stuff is going to happen. That's like, what do they say about history? The only constant is that what we thought was going to happen doesn't happen. Like, if you can believe it, back before World Wars I and II, Europe, like very serious, smart people thought that they had a level of stability that they're like, you know what? I don't think there's going to be any more wars. Yeah. And then there was like the two worst ever. So, when we look at our plans, the real way to plan for things is to know that there's going to be unknown things happening. And then what does it really take to stay on track with our goals? What's it actually take to do that? And then the beautiful thing too is I tend to be more of like in a lot of arenas, I'm put myself at like 80%. Like I don't necessarily care about being 100% everywhere. I just don't, and I never will. Like I don't care about being the best at a lot of stuff. And if you are somebody who really wants to be the best at stuff, then cool. Like, yeah, that will really help you narrow your goals. If not, the nice thing about approaching goal setting this way is like, you know what? I just need to do well enough to get to about 80%. And I'm going to meet my yearnings along the way. And if it doesn't work out exactly kind of how I pictured it, I don't even care because I had a lot of fun getting to about 80%. And in that way, for me personally, that's my approach. And probably everybody has their own, twist to that. But I like this approach of looking at things from how am I meeting my yearnings in my interactions with people day to day. Because even if I don't get the exact goal that I thought of, I had a good time getting there. So that's what I'm talking about. And I would love to check in with you, Manaz, and see if you've got any questions or thoughts, or Nakia or Annette. Welcome, Annette. I didn't see you come in, but I see you now. And to reiterate for everybody, you can join in directly on the Zoom link. That's my favorite. I get to talk with you one-to-one. If you can't do that, you can always type your questions into the comment section, and I'll do my best to get to those questions. So, Manaz, any thoughts, anything that you're looking at? What are your goals for this year?
Okay, I really like your talks about like how you can go deeper into your goals and see what is behind your goals. Like sometimes we have this goal, but we don't know why we have this goal even. Like this is so good to go deep into the goals and see what is inside that we are really want to get, and find those small things and concentrate on them instead of getting to that point that we like. It is like everybody's goal to get to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You made me thinking about all this and maybe regenerate my goals. My
What are
goal
some
for
of your
this year,
goals?
yeah, for this year, I'm gonna get to a bigger company, the overall goal, and learn 5 different things that I have nothing, like I have no knowledge about. Like I want to challenge myself, learning things that I don't know, but I don't want to go deep into that. I don't know if you know about T-shaped learning method. This is something that you learn about lots of things, but in a surface level, but you get deep into one thing that you are, it's your expertise and you want to learn. So, but this will help you like to make connections between those things that you know in surface, and make use of them in something that you are deep in and you are expert in. So this is something that this year I want to concentrate on.
Okay, so you're wanting to work in a bigger company,
Yes.
and you're also wanting to learn a lot, but you're not picking a specific thing yet.
Oh, I have my own specific thing. I'm a product designer,
Okay.
and so, but I want to learn different things to get to I don't know how to I want to make use of them to improve myself, both as a person and both as a product designer. So this is the method that I learned from and wanted to implement this year.
Okay. So there's two things I'm hearing. One is bigger company, and one is implementing this method that you've learned.
Yeah.
Is there one that you'd like to focus on in talking with me right now?
Yeah, I would like to know about uh, the interviewing part that you were talking about. I really like that, but I'm always thinking when I'm in an interview, I'm always thinking like what they want me to answer to this question, and so what can I answer that impress them, and what is the answer that they are looking for, and I can give it to them so they can hire me. And these are like stress me out. And like, I want to know about what do you think about this and how we can approach this problem.
So have you ever asked, is this the answer you're looking for?
Not really, no.
Have you ever asked, are we on the same page here?
No, I never asked anything, I think.
Okay. So the broad strokes of how to be most effective in interviewing is that it's a mindset shift. Instead of you thinking about presenting yourself to get the job, shift to, is this a job that I want? From that standpoint, then you will start to think of good questions. So do you have any interviews lined up or any that you've had recently?
No, not right now, and haven't had any like in more than 8 months. But I'm preparing for getting started to apply again, so I'm gonna have soon.
Okay, cool. Cool, cool. So one of the things, so obviously you do a lot of research. You find out about the company and the role that they're hiring for, and start letting yourself think, like, what is the problem that they're having that they're trying to solve by hiring me? And is that a problem that I can influence? Is this what do I need to know to see if I think that I can help with what they're looking for? And so you'll let yourself have some assumptions. Let's take, well, an easy one that's kind of, I think, done, but maybe not everywhere, is transferring, like especially in the medical field, everything was done in paper. It was all paper filing, and then everything's moving over to digital. So if I was looking at a company that was wanting to make that transfer, and I have experience in that, or even if I don't have experience, but I think I would be able to help with that, then I would ask questions like, um, how many files do you have? What time frame are you looking at getting all of this transferred over? What training are you prepared to implement with your current staff? Are you bringing on new staff and letting go of old staff because you don't think that they will take part in this transition? Like, and so you're starting to look at what is the problem they have that they're trying to solve in hiring for this position. And so then as because you've let yourself have assumptions, but you're going to check those assumptions out with them. You're going to, say that I'm assuming that this is kind of where you're at with this company. And I'm assuming my job would be this, this, and this. Are we on the same page? And very often you'll find that when you ask them a question, it depends on which level of interview. If you're in a first round interview and they don't know the answer to your question, they're going to say something like, oh, that will be in the next interview. Bam, right there, you're already in the next interview. You just asked a question that's out of their pay grade. And now and have identified yourself as a further candidate. And maybe it, depending on the culling they do, if they look and they're like, no, we need somebody that has these exact experiences, they may say, Manaz is good. I liked how she interviewed, but she doesn't have this, this, and this. But that way too, it sets you up better in there to say, give me feedback on why I didn't get it, and then just to say, oh yeah, well, you need this training and this experience. And that can even give you another way in and saying, well, great, if you don't find somebody that you like, what about me coming on and doing that training right now? Or is there something I could do right now that would have me be what you're looking for? So I just talked for a while, but it's a great question. So thank you. And so people listening in, I'm talking in part so that everybody can be getting value from your question. But I'd love to hear your response.
Well, that was very great point of view that you gave me to, yeah, engage in their problem and see what they're looking for. I think this is so great. But finding out what is their problem is the challenge. Like, so bigger companies have like bigger challenges, and you can't understand, like, from the job description, they need all the skills that related to your field, but you don't get like what is the real thing that they need, what is the thing that they right now they need between all these skills that they want me to have. But
So
this
how
is
would
good
you
to
go
ask
about
them.
finding that out?
Their problem. So I will normally I will go through their, if there is a website they have, of if there is an application they have that so I will go through that and see what are the problems that I face when interacting with their website or their app. And when I find these problems, I will, like, in the interview, I will tell them, like, I was, for example, I was interacting with your application and I faced that I noticed that, for example, in the help section, when I send a message, I got this error and it's not working, for example, and I can help you to fix that. Something like this.
Yep. Yep. Because you're doing the research, you're seeing where some of the things are breaking down. And then you're saying, I'm assuming that you want this kind of thing to work, and that's part of what my role would be, is to ensure that this stuff's working. And they're like, yeah. And then you could have a follow-up question of like, what's the team like that I would be coming in with? And so then if they know the answer, they'll tell you a little bit, or they'll say something quickly if they want to get on to asking you more questions. But that way, if you can, another way to look at it is to visualize a round table. And when you come into the interview, they're sitting on one side of the round table, you're sitting on the other side of the round table. As the interview is happening, you're both asking each other questions, and you're like inching around the table until you're now sitting next to each other, looking at the job together laid out on the table in front of you, and like talking about like what needs to happen. And right there, then you've established that you understand enough to be having an engaging conversation with them. And in that kind of way, like it's very easy for them to see you as somebody that they would hire, even if you don't have the exact things, the exact trainings. They would be much more likely to say, you don't have that, get that, let's get you going and let's get you on board here. You understand what our problems are.
Yeah, that's totally right. Because the skills you can get, but the approach that you have, it's hard to get.
Yeah. And not everybody's gonna know this. But bigger companies and people who have more experience with hiring, they know the value of hiring a good person. Somebody who, even if, see, experience only goes so far. Because things are changing so often, you could have all the experience in the world, but if you're not willing to learn new things, you could be a total pain in my ass. Like, if I'm hiring somebody who knows they're right, well, are you going to work with the team? Like, is that helpful to me? Might not be. And this is the problem when people say stuff like, "Oh, you have more experience than needed," or "You're overqualified for this." Um, that maybe could translate to, um, "You're too much of a know-it-all." And I don't want to hire you because I think you're going to be more trouble than you're worth. Even if somebody is like 60 years old and is like way more experience than is required for a particular position, if you really think about it, that's not a problem. It's only a problem if they're a pain in the butt about it. So if they're able, so there was one guy I worked with who, he moved from, I forget where he moved from. I think he moved from another country, and he was a very, very established. I mean, he's done a lot, but he moved to be closer to family. He was older in his life, and he kind of moved to a slightly middle of nowhere spot. And he was like, well, I have so much experience, I should have no problem getting a job. And then like everybody's like, oh, you're overqualified. And so what he did was he said stuff like, look, here's where I'm coming from. I want, this is, if you want to look at it from this frame of view, that this is kind of my retirement. I love working with people. I love this stuff. I love this space. I think I'd be a great contribution here. I'm not even asking for what I'm worth, but this has to do with a lifestyle change that I'm doing. And and he was able to talk about that up front. Say, why don't you just bring me on for 3 months and see how this goes? Well, they did, and they loved it, and it's like, the happy ending there. So there's a way that you being able to communicate yourself. Now we can transition to another thing here, is how to talk about yourself. Because it's not just listing your accomplishments. Like in that scenario, if he kept listing his accomplishments, all he's doing is pushing them away.
Yeah.
But to be able to talk about, like, I have this experience and this is where I see myself going, and this is why I'm interested in your company, because I see this as a win-win. I see this as, you need this service, you need these skill sets coming in here. I have these, and I have a lot of these, and I want to develop them. I want to apply myself. And so I see this as a wonderful union. And
Yeah.
helping people see that and determine that for you is really the approach to take.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks. Thank you so much. I want to give others to also ask their questions. So
Yes, you
thank
bet.
you
Oh,
so much for your
you're
help.
you're welcome. Manaz, thank you. I'm going to do a quick room reset, and I want to say I do have a session coming in right at 1 p.m. Central, so I'll be leaving a little early today. Um, there's a few ways that you can engage throughout the week and in other ways. There is my new YouTube channel. I'm finally paying attention to the algorithm gods and going to have different channels. So my ASMR and hypnosis one is a different one. My leadership and emotional intelligence focused one is this new YouTube channel. Um, and then the other thing that I can offer is if you want to meet with me for 15 minutes, sometimes, being streaming live is not your vibe, totally get it. If you've got questions and things that you want to work through, I love working with people very quickly. Sometimes 15 minutes can help answer a few questions and get you moving in the right direction. And if coaching is something that you're interested in, if you are interested in an ongoing coaching relationship or some kind of a coaching program, I offer both of those. So again, that 15-minute time can be used for that. And next week, I am launching a program called the Foundations of EQ, Foundations of Emotional Intelligence. There are people signed up for that. There's a few more spots. Take a look at that if that's something that you're interested in. This is sort of a pilot program. I don't know that I'll always offer it, but it will if there's interest in it and in kind of an ongoing need for that, then that is something that I will continue doing. So take a look at that. And I think that's it. Is just coaching, that group, and then YouTube channel. So I'm always wanting to get content out, and have people able to use this stuff, um, in an ongoing way. I listen to podcasts and I'm really into geopolitics, so like Peter Zion and George Friedman. George Friedman, I always want you to do more. I wish you would post more. So I'm doing that as well, and will continue putting content onto YouTube and probably other platforms in the near future. So all that said, I would love if anybody else wants to jump in, if you have comments, questions, doesn't have to do with the exact topic today, that's fine. I will find a way to make it do with yearnings. I could tie that back in with the interviewing. We'll see. Maybe I'll do that yet. But Nakia and Annette, is there any questions? Anything that you're wanting while you're in here today?
Hi, how are you today?
Hey, doing well. Good to see you.
Good. I just recently lost my job
Oh,
and yeah. So
sorry.
I'm trying to get clear. I really, really enjoy coaching. I have launched a business. Um, I also do recruiting. It's a passion of mine. So I love both of those. And I'm just really trying to get clear. I think I have fear and what you plan. And yeah, and my family's very dependent upon my income. So, do I get a job and build my business? Do I build my business and just go whole hog? Do I do recruiting contracts and build my business at the same time? So I have all of these thoughts going through my head.
Well, what do you think?
I don't
What's
know.
your gut on it say?
I don't know. My gut, I guess, says you better find something that's going to replace your income and not play. And I honestly don't think the business will replace my income.
Have you done a plan for it? Like a revenue plan?
Several. How do you do that when you don't? I mean, I'm still trying. I'm going back and forth on figuring out who, what my target business is, who my target audience is.
Okay. No, I'm so glad we're talking, and let's dig in as much as we can. So,
Okay.
I mean, the organization I've worked with for 10 years closed its doors January 1st. So I have launched, and I'm behind. I need to put out a message on LinkedIn. I started a LinkedIn business there. Fine. That's not my top priority. But what I did was I looked at who are my current clients. I get to walk with them. And I scheduled that out week by week. So some people I meet with bi-weekly, some people weekly, some people monthly, some people quarterly.
Mhm.
I broke that out, and then I looked at okay, given that now I'm not going to be doing all these other things I was doing, my estimate is that I'm going to be able to bring in this much new business. And then I really I mean, I put, this is what I'd like to get. This is the absolute lowest. Like if I do horribly, and if like all kinds of things go wrong in the world, I think it could be as little as this. And I just looked at that for the next year, and I have that number. I kind of have a plan for, like, if I was really undisciplined and didn't do what I needed to do, and if things were bad. And I looked at that and I was like, you know what? That's okay. Like if it's horrible, like if it's as bad as it could be, like I could work with that. I could live with that. But I think it's going to be a lot better than that. But so I broke it out in that kind of way. Now, for you, you don't have any current clients. So
No.
you would have to be getting clients. Do you have anybody that would pay you as a coach? That you're like, you know what, if I talk to them about this, I think we might come up with something here.
Oh, no, not that I can think of off the top of my head. And I've got some that will pay me to do their resume. Like career coaching is really what I like to do. So some will pay me to do their resume, but not the career coaching piece.
How much how much could you get in 1 year for resume? Or just be thinking about that. If you were to just do that, how much do you see coming in that way?
Not enough.
Okay. So are you kind of answering your question now?
I think so. For what my financial need is, I think so. Yeah.
What are you feeling?
Either a job or doing some recruiting contracts.
So what I recommend, then I'll jump to something else in a moment, but it sounds like for you to start for a coaching business, what you do is you claim it. And I've taken coaching courses, and I'm in the coaching world, so
Mm.
it doesn't need to be a secret. You say, I'm a coach. This is what my specialty is, and I'm taking clients. And you just start putting that out there, and you start getting some clients going. But you can do that while you're doing whatever else you're doing.
Yeah.
So make the money, but don't have that mean that you're not also building your coaching business. And you have a great network. So as you're putting out into the world, I'm a coach, I'm doing this stuff. As people want you, like trying to sell on coaching, I tell you, that sucks. It's not going to work. But if you put out in the world, hey, I'm a coach, I'm taking clients, and this is kind of what I'm doing, when people want a coach, they will be receptive. They'll even reach out. And so you got to, put those little feelers out there, but it's really, there's no way that you would make the kind of money that you want to make by starting a coaching business right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And there's so many people doing it.
Yes.
And most coaches who are like, I'm doing my solo coaching business. It's all me. Most of those people are either young and are kind of in a position where they can do that, or they're not the primary breadwinner, or they're taking a huge, huge risk. So, me launching my own coaching business is like, I've been doing this for 10 years. I have clients already. There's a whole network of people that are like there that I can tap. You have that network. You just need to start putting it out in there that you're coaching. And as people get to the spot where they want a coach,
Mhm.
then you'll start getting clients.
Okay. Makes sense.
And that another thing though is, I mean, when did you lose the job?
December 31st.
My God.
Yeah, Christmas. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Did you see it coming?
I suspected, but when it comes, you're never really ready. But yeah.
Yeah, I could, yeah,
Hmm.
geez. I mean, with the changes that happened with the foundation, with the organization I've worked with, it's like, well, I totally could see it coming and still be in denial and still be like, nope.
Right? It's gonna be we're gonna make it through. I just need 3 more months to get, yeah, whatever. Yeah, I know.
So in this transition process, you're going to be mourning.
Hmm. The grief, the anger. Yeah.
And that will I'm trying to I know that good stuff comes from that,
Hmm.
but it doesn't necessarily feel like it.
Mm-mm.
And it will shade. Here's the, if we're going to tie it back to um the topic for the day of really meeting yearnings moment to moment, before we're really able to get in touch with our yearnings, because it's kind of this like vague concept, emotional intelligence and being in touch with our feelings is really the pathway to it. So fear, hurt, anger, sadness, and joy. And as you let yourself be with the grief, be with the anger, be with the hurt, be with the fear, that will help you connect on a deeper level with people.
Okay.
So it's kind of counterintuitive,
Hmm.
but it's like it comes with, it comes with, I guess it could be called wisdom. It can come with time. It doesn't have to. The way that I really saw this was my grandmother, who most of my life I did not like. She was mean. Like that was my experience of her. But I saw her soften. I saw her like become more in touch with her feelings and share that with her grandkids, with her kids. And it was like, whoa, what is happening here? And she, both those grandparents actually on that side would started saying things that they hadn't said before, started sharing parts of themselves. I remember my grandfather sharing about what he did in World War II, just stuff he had never said before. And it was really painful. I mean, it was like horrible, like totally upsetting stuff. But there is a vulnerability in there that allowed me to kind of know him in a way that was really powerful. So I saw that and I was like, okay, this is part of the journey. I want to be like them and I want to do that earlier. And so that way, when you're interviewing, when you're talking to people about what their problems are and why they would be hiring you, instead of having to avoid your grief and upset, you can actually use it as a way to establish deeper rapport with people. They will know that you're capable of going through challenges.
Gotcha.
So it's, I think that's a way that, loss can turn into a gift if we allow it.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
And
Use it as a strength instead of something that's debilitating.
totally. So, and there's another way to look at this, which is I have a cousin who um his wife has been told 3 times she has 6 months to live. Cancer. And early on, they said, screw that. And they always get more than a second opinion. One of the things that he said to me when I was interviewing him, God, I should do a podcast with him or something. I was like, what's the different, like, how do you know when you're talking to somebody pretty quickly if they're worth your time? And he was like, it's probably more of a feeling thing, but he's like, what I can say about it is that if I'm talking with a doctor who has themselves faced something that their medical training did not prepare them for, like a sickness with themselves or with somebody very close to them, their wife or a child, then it kind of doesn't even, like, their speciality or whatever, if they've had that, then they can actually add value to me.
Wow.
If it's all just training, if it's all like they have the best degree from the best school and that kind of thing, is like, doesn't matter. Does not make a difference to me in the end. And so that you have a grief and a loss when looking at it that way, and that then you can become an asset to like people in a way that perhaps you wouldn't have considered. And another really helpful thing to consider is that the grieving process is going to be there, and it can take 40 years or it could take 4 months.
That's the animal of grief, isn't it? There's no prescribed length. I agree.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm so glad that you joined in, and it's good to see you again.
You too.
Yeah.
Thank you much.
And I would set up a time to talk with me more. I would like to check in with you.
All right, we'll do that. Thanks.
You bet. Well, Annette and Manaz, thank you very much for your engagement, for your questions. Very helpful. Very, very helpful. That's part of this is group learning, is hearing where other people are at, knowing other people are on the journey. So I really appreciate what you shared in your questions.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You bet. You bet.
I have
Well,
sorry.
go ahead, Nakia. Yes, I gotta wrap up here soon, but go ahead.
I have a question. I haven't worked in a year,
Mhm.
and I've been looking for a job because a couple years ago I got a double master's, and I'm really trying to get into the tech world.
Uh-huh.
And I've taken like tons of classes like the SAP success factors and stuff like that. But I'm just trying to figure out how I would like get in a job, because when I send my resume out, it's like, oh no, we've gone with somebody with more experience. And it's like, how am I supposed to gain that experience if I
Totally. The overall strategy with getting a job, there's that piece of you owning it, of saying, is this a place that I want to work? And I think the way that you would apply that to this is to responding to job ads. There's an issue with responding to job ads, which is most job ads that are posted. That's not always the best way to go, and especially depending on where you're at, how old you are, where you're at in your career. Because I don't have time to get into why, but for you to seek out the companies and places that you want to work, even if you don't see that they're hiring,
okay.
to be talking to people working there, to network. So it's really networking is probably going to be your best way to get the next job. That tends to be the case for most people, especially further on in your career. Is
Okay.
who have you worked with in the past? Reach out to them, let them know that you're looking for something, and say stuff like, I want you to know I'm looking for stuff like this. Keep me in mind if you think of anybody. I know that you probably don't have anything in mind right now, so I'll follow up with you in a couple weeks and just see if anything came to mind. And so you're
Okay.
really taking ownership of the process. Simply sitting back and responding to job ads, I do that, but don't spend a whole lot of time doing it.
Okay.
Put your energy elsewhere.
Okay. Because I have a lot of experience in the areas that I'm trying to get into. I just want to get into the tech part of it, the tech side of it, and the supply chain.
Talk with people that you've worked with in the past and let them know that, and say, what are your thoughts about how would I get in? The question that you asked me, ask a
Yes.
lot of people that question.
Okay.
And they'll start thinking about you that way, and they might give you some helpful information. Say, oh, you should talk to so and so, or you should look at this company, or you should look there, or, and just let the world know that that's what you're doing.
And then also, I was wondering if this is how I'm presenting my resume.
Could be. We
do
got
I need-
Nakia, I gotta jump.
Okay.
Come in next week or set up a 15-minute time with me.
Okay. Sounds good.
Awesome. So glad. I'm glad you joined in and asked. Thank you. Good stuff.
Make it a great day.
Everybody, thanks for joining in. Happy 2024 and growthful 2024. How about that? That might be more doable. And I will see you hopefully next week. And again, you can catch these. They're going to be posting on my new YouTube channel. All right, everybody, take care. Thanks
Bye.
for joining in.